Hello to all you AP Marvel fans out there. For this, our 1-year anniversary of AP Marvel, we wanted to celebrate with something special for all of you, our very first video. This video will be an entry into the One Marvelous Scene series, where creators go out and pick their favorite scene in the MCU and make a video, describing why it's the best. Today we're going to do the same. The hosts and contributors of AP Marvel that you've come to know and love over the past year are going to take a look back to pick their favorite scene and tell you all about why it's great. Before we begin, we'd like to take a moment to thank all of our fans, patrons, and listeners. Thank you for helping us do what we love, talk about Marvel. If you'd like to help support us, go to our Patreon, link in the description. Now please enjoy our one AP Marvelous Scene.
In prior films, Captain America was almost more of a symbol rather than a fully fleshed out character. He was someone little children could look up to, if they wanted to know what made great American values or what makes someone a hero. Treating Cap as a symbol of epic patriotism like this allows other Avengers, and fans by extension, to think of him as a cornball, someone who cared more about truth and justice in the form of one-liners, rather than taking action to lead like other favorites did. In my professional opinion, one of the first few scenes of The Winter Soldier where Cap leads the S.H.I.E.L.D. strike team to rescue the hostages on the LEMURIan star proves just how dedicated Cap is to adapting to his new life and learning to take his same core values everywhere he goes, regardless of time period. In previous appearances, Cap might have said things that were a little more cliché.
I don't like bullies. I don't care where they're from.
But screenwriters Marcus and McFeely find a way to keep Cap's old-timey energy in a new way, one that is quite different from what MCU fans are used to seeing.
Secure the engine room, then find me a date.
What Marcus and McFeely were also able to prove to fans is that in order to fully characterize someone, their words and their actions must match. From the moment that Cap jumps out of the Quinjet without a parachute, the audience is clued into a different Steve Rogers than in films past. The faster-paced, more intense fighting style lets fans see ways in which Cap can boomerang his shield to knock out guards, as well as throw knives into their hands, all while trying to maintain a rapport with Black Widow. This version of Cap is darker, more hands-on, and he definitely takes no mess. A massive depart from the character fans thought they knew. He even goes one-on-one with Batroc, played by retired MMA fighter Georges St-Pierre, who has a 26-2 career streak, who prompts the hero to take off his mask and drop his shield and fight hand-to-hand. The old Cap wouldn't have been so keen to do this, or at least that's what previous films led us to believe. Marcus and McFeely gave fans an opportunity to jump aboard a newer iteration of Cap, one that would achieve what he knew was right, regardless of who was standing in his way. Better yet, they wrote a Cap that reiterated this message in a believable, no-nonsense, present-day kind of way. Nothing but respect for my Captain, and that's why the LEMURIan star is my one marvelous scene.
Seem pretty helpless without me.
I look around at us. You know what I see? Losers. I mean, like, folks who have lost stuff.
Hey everyone, it's Anthony, and this is my one marvelous scene. Guardians of the Galaxy is one of my favorite MCU movies, as it is for many. Packed with laughs, hearts, and fun moments, Guardians was a standout film in the MCU. Here we see the Guardians preparing for their big fight against Ronan. Experiencing doubts, Guardians feel unfit to fight, let alone be heroes. Why I chose this scene is one of the fundamental reasons why people love this movie. It exemplifies that outcasts and weirdos can rise above their station and be redeemed. We see it with the path James Gunn has been on and where he once was over a decade ago, to his firing and then subsequent rehiring. We see the same theme in Volume 2 and definitely will in Volume 3. They sacrificed a lot, and that sacrifice brought them together. Each one of them are a brain, an athlete, a basket case, a princess, and a criminal. Fuck! Wrong movie! Sorry, Thomas.
What the hell? I don't got that long a lifespan anyway. Now I'm standing. You all happy? We're all standing up now. Bunch of jackasses standing in a circle.
I think the fact that I, an Asian American woman, was able to resonate with Black Panther so strongly shows miles of this movie's impact on Hollywood. The movie just had this incredible universality to it that allowed it to connect with not just the African Americans it was primarily aiming its core story towards, but to other minority groups across the globe. And I think that universality is a direction Marvel Studios is and should be aiming toward as they move on past the Infinity Saga, with future films like The Eternals, Shang-Chi, and most likely a sequel to Black Panther. This universality is best shown in the very last scene of Black Panther, when T'Challa and Shuri are visiting Oakland. T'Challa is talking about the new Wakandan Outreach Center. Firstly, this scene is just well shot from the start. The use of symmetry concretely framed its subjects and emphasizes each one's importance in that moment. Coogler really uses the most of space for each shot as he can, having certain objects like the Wakandan ship really encompass and take up the shot to show its potential. Now, on to the scene structure within the story. It's such a symbolic and poignant place, built not only where their relatives died and grew up, but also built with their beliefs of outreach and openness in mind. They're not tearing down the buildings, they're rebuilding them into something new, enriching, and that honors Killmonger and Njabu's ideas for the future of their nation. What really hones in this universality, however, is the attention that Coogler has for all aspects of the scene, shown through the Black children playing basketball around T'Challa and Shuri. Coogler and Marvel show how much they're keeping their future in mind through the unveiling of the Bugatti spaceship to this awestruck Black children, revealing an endless world of possibilities and dreams. More than that, it offers these children, both in the movie and outside the movie, role models. It is Shuri who is explaining Wakandan technology to these young boys, giving young girls this strong, STEM-based heroine to look up to. And in the final exchange between T'Challa and one of those young Black boys, played by Moonlight actor Alex R. Hibbert at the game, is T'Challa, an African-American hero king, who is the receptor of this awestruck
Who are you?
This moment, where minority groups can have someone in the media to look up to, where they can see that they're not alone, is so powerful and important. It shows this diverse future in Hollywood that's slowly being constructed one moment like this at a time. It shows young actors looking up to older actors that look just like them, giving them hopes, dreams, and endless futures at their fingertips. And that's why the ending of Black Panther is my one marvelous scene.
At the climax of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, at a moment where ego has every hero in his grip and all seems lost, Peter Quill looks within himself to find a source of strength neither he nor his biological father knew he had. Family.
You shouldn't have killed my mom and squished my Walkman.
Through flashbacks, we see tender moments of Quill and the ones he's come to know like family. Certainly, this scene has the capacity to be considered corny, but in a movie which trips over itself to point out how stupid and ridiculous everything is, this scene is played completely straight. It's just too important, too crucial to the emotional center of the story to make fun of. Another thing I admire about that scene is the way the flashbacks show us moments we've never gotten to see before, sometimes showing us characters we're familiar with from an entirely new perspective. These scenes are not just a revelation to Quill, who is discovering the family that has been by his side this entire time. They are also a revelation to the audience, who have been watching these characters fight and bicker for 2 movies now. Those moments of quiet, shared experience, intimacy, and connection, while not absent, are sparse up until this point. The film brings us into Peter's quiet internal epiphany, matching some touching shots with swelling music, building to an emotional catharsis which, for me, has not been matched in the MCU.
You shouldn't have killed my mom and squished my Walkman.
Despite all of the impressive choreographed action of Captain America: The Winter Soldier, I found myself equally compelled by the sequence in which Steve Rogers revisits his past. In the middle of the movie's first act, Steve takes a trip in the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum, specifically to an exhibit that chronicles his World War II exploits. One particular reason I love this scene is because of how it honors the first film in an efficient yet effective way. Even in a film that takes place several decades later after the first, this sequence recontextualizes the first Avenger in a way that makes this a true sequel. In contrast to the loud and frantic intensity of the rest of the film, this sequence is quiet and understated. And even with zero dialogue from Steve, it reveals everything you need to know about how he is pulled by the past and the modern world in opposite directions. While he may no longer be alienated by the cultural and technological advances of the present day, he silently looks back to the ideals of his time. He may have adjusted, but his classic sense of morality is out of sync with the gray area that everyone around him operates in. We get a reminder of the massive hole left in Steve with Bucky's loss, and we delve in deeper to his psyche when he views a film featuring his beloved Peggy Carter. We learn from subtleties in the dialogue that although Peggy has moved on from Steve, she was still very much a part of her life. It all culminates in what is the most heartbreaking scene in the film, where Steve visits an elderly and bedridden Peggy Carter. One quick turn away, and Peggy instantly forgets the conversation she just had, reliving her joy of reuniting with Steve repeatedly. Peggy is an essential part of Steve's past, one that is now in a way corrupted in the present day. Later on in the film, Steve will encounter a more dangerous and corrupted figure in Bucky Barnes as the Winter Soldier. This slower-paced scene sticks out from the rest of the movie. It sets everything up the viewer needs while painting a picture of Steve Rogers' state of mind. For that reason, the Smithsonian scene from The Winter Soldier is my one marvelous scene.